Hi, my name is Dr. Ed Warner Jr., President and COO of Greater Decisions Consulting, LLC, where we maximize the returns on your diversity investment. Don't know what your diversity assets are? No problem. Don't know how to cultivate those assets into something greater? No problem. That's what we do at GDC, and that's what we can do for you. Identity, and what we call our identity-centered model of decision-making, empowers the individual and the group to examine and utilize their identity to its fullest potential. We have three wonderful examples, literally cultural icons right here in the city of Louisville. We have a person who utilized identity quite well, Muhammad Ali. We have an event that utilized their identity quite well, the Kentucky Derby. And we have a business that took a piece of equipment from a sport and turned it into an iconic symbol of success and excellence, the Louisville Slugger. We've created a model that does exactly the same thing, figures out strategic decision making in ways that utilizes identity as both a check, a balance, and an inspiration for ideas to understand how to empower ourselves and our groups and organizations to do better than we could do absent an examination and an interrogation of that identity. I love the University of Louisville. I was a tenured professor there for 18 years. I have so much empathy and compassion and pride in the current students, staff, faculty, alumni, fans. And yet, I've sued the university twice, taken them to the EEOC, and I've criticized them countless times over the last decade. But you've been through a lot. And now the trajectory seems quite positive. The one thing, though, that could halt that trajectory is another scandal. And so I speak to you today asking you to partner. Maybe it's just partner through prayer. Maybe you take an active role in trying to figure out a way to help us in this. Don't know. I call it the abuse of process scandal. And it's very easy for you to vet and decide for yourself how likely it is to exist. Linked to this blog is an article by Chris Otts, a reporter from WDRB. The article was written on April 28, 2015. He tells a story about a payment that was made from former President James Ramsey to former Chief of Staff Kathleen Smith. After you read the details of that article, ask yourself, if you were administrator, if you oversaw, were an overseer of the university, if you were a government official, if you were just another member of the university, what should have happened after you read that article in your judgment? And if you decide there should have been an investigation, and if you think based on your reading that a criminal activity occurred, like I do, misuse of funds, fraud, embezzlement, and that's just in the illegal payment, you still don't know, we don't know, what the money was used for because nobody investigated. We do know that an attorney attempting to justify that payment, David Saffer of Harbison and Stites, the same law firm as former Governor Steve Beshears and his son, Andy Beshears, said that it was for her performance in 2010 and 2011. So over those 2 years, she received extra pay of $53,000 paid out in one day. But we also know that by the end of fiscal year 2013, she received $1.4 million from the same fund. We also know that Shirley Willingans, former provost, questioned a $50,000 payment she got at the end of 2011. And by the end of fiscal year 2013, she got $1.9 million. What we don't know is why any of those things occurred. because they haven't been further investigated to understand why they occurred. Now, there are investigations going on now, but the major investigation going on now is by the Attorney General, who has a conflict of interest. So I propose 3 legal actions because I'm pretty sure I know what happened, but doesn't mean anything until I can prove what happened. The first will be GDC versus former Governor Beshears, current Governor Matt Bevin, former Attorney General Jack Conway, current Attorney General Andy Beshears, and the University of Louisville. And it will ask for an injunction that each of those 5 disclose any knowledge, the evidence that they have related to that payment. And they will be asked to disclose why they've never acknowledged it publicly, they've never investigated, and that no criminal actions have been taken against 2 white administrators who an 18-year black administrator is alleging withheld evidence from a criminal trial that could have exonerated him in 2019, evidence that the university manufactured by ordering a fit-for-work exam. And in 2011, the same administrators attempted to have the professor arrested, but failed for lack of probable cause, and a mental inquest was ordered concerned the professor was suicidal. Now that's a lot of reasons, perhaps, for people to not take criminal action when the crimes are in plain sight. Injunction number 2, GDC versus the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and one of its staff, Alan Anderson. In July of 2011, I filed an EEOC complaint. The university wanted to go to mediation. We met with a mediator, Alan Anderson, on August 30th, 2011. Those talks broke down. I began to make open record requests for information for a public hearing that would be forthcoming. The university chose not to fulfill any of those requests and told Anderson to contact me because they were interested in returning to settlement negotiations through the mediation. But this time I contacted an attorney. I contacted an attorney named Kevin Doran, one of my former students, and we signed a contract for representation on the same day, September 29, 2011, that Ramsey authorized the payment to Kathleen Smith. We are asking the EEOC to reopen the mediation through an injunction and asking them whether or not the original mediation followed proper procedures. Because somehow that mediation took the settlement negotiations out of the mediation, and now the EEOC claims they were not part of the settlement talks and that they have destroyed all evidence related to the mediation. Case number 3, Greater Decisions Consulting versus the University of Louisville, Angela Koshua, who was head counsel at that time, and Kevin Doran, my former attorney. This injunction is asking for immediate voiding of the 2011 settlement and that I return to my status as faculty on administrative leave with pay, including back pay, until the results of all this are found out. Why would that be justified? The agreement does not mention the word tenure. It does not mention the word intellectual property. It does not follow the university procedures for tenure protections. And because those things didn't occur, and because the university still has my intellectual property and utilizes it quite well, and it's very valuable, mostly because they're the only ones that have it, and because I can't take it and replicate it because my credibility has been destroyed, in large part a result of allegations I've made against the university. And that injunction puts me back to where I was when I filed the EEOC complaint, so a settlement can be created that follows proper procedure. Now, I want those at the that care about the university to know I would never leave you hanging. My next move is to make some videos that tie the cultural icons that I talked about above with different facets of the identity-centered decision-making model that I created, so that you can see the possibility for the phoenix to rise from the ashes. Because it was a university affirmative action investment that started me on the path to tie these ideas together so we can better respect each other's identity, better value each other's identity, and better figure out ways of empowering ourselves and our organizations through our identity, through a persuasive process that's ethical, fair, and empowering for every single individual, because we all have identities. We just don't all know how to use them the way Muhammad Ali did. We don't know how to create events surrounding our identity to create excellence in the way the Kentucky Derby did. And we don't know how to create a business from a piece of equipment that becomes an iconic symbol for an entire sport, the way Louisville Slugger did. But I think I have a model that can get us closer to that. But I need all this foolishness to end, because it's been going on too long. And you as voters, University of Louisville lovers, should probably know whether or not your next governor has been obstructing justice for years. And it's possible both candidates, and very likely both candidates have. And you, as citizens of the Commonwealth, will need to decide what to do about that. Finally, sending this video, being transparent, talking publicly before actually filing the complaints, empowers each of the people named in these complaints to step up and be a hero, to go forward with their misconduct, to be the whistleblower that sets this right. And that creates the possibility we don't even have to go through all this, because the crimes are right in front of us. I'm not sure why at this point those folks haven't turned themselves in. One of them has a credible argument that she lived in a retaliation culture ran by an attorney that made her afraid that if she didn't commit misconduct against me, they would commit it against her. Maybe more of them have that argument on their side. We don't know, because they haven't spoken. But they have the freedom to speak. They probably have attorneys telling them not to speak. And the guilt from that is probably eating them up, because at their essence, at their core, they're good people who got caught up in exploitation of an educational idea that became a valuable asset to a university and is being kept from becoming a valuable asset to our nation and our world. And I want to maximize that initial diversity investment to its fullest so we all can benefit. And if done correctly, U of L lovers, your institution could get credit for that. But it's going to take some action for that to occur beyond my words. Thank you for listening, and I hope somebody gives us a call and wants to partner with us. Help us in this journey for liberation, for social justice, and to maximize returns on our diversity investment so that we can pass that gift to others. Thank you.